Hello and welcome to another training video from the Mobiloan classroom. The general Mobiloan configuration items act as global settings which are applied through Mobiloan and which are not company or branch specific, but rather instance specific. You can think of it like an umbrella which covers all the underlying global functionality in Mobiloan and acts as a generic set of instructions with regards to how the app should behave. The configuration view is accessed directly from the setup menu simply by clicking on the configuration button. Once on the configuration view, you will see a side nav bar if on a desktop or a top drop-down nav if on a mobile device with the following sections: Layout, Alert, Expiry, SMS, and ALPS. Each instance only has one configuration object which is applied across all devices. Once the configuration has been edited, it will be applied to all users and devices. Users might be required to log out, sync their devices, and log back in for all changes to be affected. The first configuration menu, namely the User tab, requires you to define or choose the following: App label, namely a text string for your app; login password type, i.e. should users use a PIN or an alphanumeric password to log in. Generally, 4-digit PIN is chosen as it is easier to input on a mobile device. For alphanumeric passwords, you can also specify additional complexity requirements, namely, must there be an uppercase letter, number, and special character, not allow repeated characters, and also set a minimum of 8 characters for the password. Daily transaction recon, which tells Mobiloan how your app financial transactions will be reconciled. The options available are recon by branch, recon by area, recon by user, and recon by device. We recommend exercising a little discretion here as it can get confusing. If your branch has a single cache box, then the best option is to select recon by branch. If each user has a cache box, then reconciling by user might be most appropriate. I personally would not recommend reconciling by an area or reconciling by device, as there would certainly be challenges with regards to custody of control over cache balances. But this depends on your business's setup. If you were to reconcile by area, then all transactions linked to a particular area would be presented for reconciling. That means if there are multiple operators all operating in the same area, pooling the cache and tracking down shortfalls would be quite difficult. Similarly, if you reconcile by device and your staff work in shifts, you would have to reconcile per shift, in which case you might as well reconcile per user. Next, we need to decide if for certain events we want to warn users or simply proceed. This is done on the Alerts tab. Currently, there are 2 configurable warning items, namely, warn when a non-automated repayment method is used on a loan. This would be cash or payroll repayment methods. Warn when a deferred payout method is used on a loan. This would be an EFT payout to a client, for example. Now we have some basic housekeeping items to take care of on the Expiry tab. This governs how long a user can stay idle before being automatically logged out and is expressed in minutes. How long a user has to complete a loan, also expressed in minutes. The time it takes for an incomplete loan to expire, expressed in hours. And finally, the uncollected loan write-off period, which is expressed in days. In the SMS tab, we add some restrictions to the types of SMSs that can be sent out using Mobiloan. You could restrict the user to 1, 2, or 3 message parts. In addition, you can decide what SMS options you would like to apply to the payout process. They are SMS loan link to client on payout. This is handy because it takes away the need for the user to physically print the loan agreement. The client can at any point access the link to view their loan agreement. Maintain SMS marketing register, i.e., do you want to update or modify the client marketing register on payout? Block reply to numbers in custom messages. This was introduced to restrict the ability of staff to abuse the SMS system for private purposes. And block URLs in custom messages. Again, this was introduced to restrict the ability of staff to abuse the SMS system for private purposes. Lastly, we need to set some additional ALPS automation options to, as far as possible, take some of the headache out of maintaining client ledgers and records. These include auto receipt active branches. This means that for all debit order or ALPS automated receipts, a transaction will be created and linked to the client for active branches. Auto receipt non-active branches. This means that for all debit order or other ALPS automated receipts, a transaction will be created and linked to the client for non-active branches. Save receipts unmatched to any loan. This is an allocation method similar to the balance forward approach adopted by a lot of accounting packages. Place client on hold upon failed receipt. In a case where a client misses a debit order repayment, that client will be placed on hold automatically. Block new loan if open collection ticket. This means that a client will be prevented from taking a new loan if there's a collection ticket outstanding. Upload promissory contract to ALPS I. This is part of the ALPS continuous compliance process. While not required, it can significantly reduce the amount of time you spend with ALPS desktop audits. Use loan payout queuing system. This forces loan payouts into a queue, which are then released sequentially. If you want to review your current ALPS users, you can do so by clicking on the ALPS Users button. Once you are happy with your configuration, click on the Save button at the bottom of the view. That is it. It is that simple to finalize the general configuration in Mobiloan. We trust you are enjoying the setup portion of our tutorials and look forward to seeing you again next time.